What's up, marketing legends, and welcome to another episode of the Growth Colony podcast. I'm producer Liza from Xgrowth to tell you that each episode we bring in B2B leaders to chat about how you can achieve those everyday wins in the marketing world. Whether you're new to the B2B game, working at a leadership level, or even just showing some interest, we know you'll love the episode. So wherever you are, get comfy and enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, welcome to another ep of Growth Colony. I'm your host, Vinnie, and with me I have Sobia, the newly appointed Senior Marketing Manager at Workday. Well, look, so thanks for joining me. We've had a couple of conversations over the past few months. We're both in the Generate group, headed up by Axel Sukianto. Hey Axel, hat tilt to you, good sir. But yeah, no, really good to have you on. And we've got a couple of things that we're going to talk to you about today.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So you and I sort of connected on a number of different levels. We both do a little bit of lecturing. We both do a little bit of speaking. We're both B2B marketers. You're involved at the Marketing Association over there in New Zealand. Tell us a little bit about what's happening with all those things and why it is that you're on here with me today.
Well, to me, it was really important to use my voice to share my knowledge about the most underrepresented marketing field, which is B2B marketing. Even in the Marketing Association, we empower other B2B marketeers in New Zealand as we saw a huge gap in the professional and kind of the commercial world where we don't actually hear much about the B2B marketing successes and failures and don't have the adequate learning and development incentives for upcoming graduates and B2B marketeers. So for me, it was really important to have that voice, and we've got a great, huge, diverse group of committee members in the Special Interest Group, all from various levels and backgrounds. And our number one job is to educate, empower, and to host networking opportunities within the Marketing Association for New Zealand. We even have a voice and influence over the professional bodies of Marketing Association to be like, hey, this course is missing, or have you thought about B2B topics in your massive conference like the Brand Summit? And last year there was the first Brand Summit conference that they had, and we were able to get a B2B spot on it, which was really awesome. So we're making small changes one day at a time.
Awesome. So ANZ, Australia, New Zealand, B2B marketing. You said it's under or misrepresented.
It sure is.
Go into some detail about what the actual problem is.
Yeah, so the problem is that there's a lack of diversity and there's just a few role models that are within the B2B marketing space. And that kind of stems down to the insufficient exposure in the university curricula. Now, I'm not saying that B2C is better than B2B or B2B is better than B2C. I'm just saying that B2B marketing often is overshadowed by B2C focus. And when you go to universities, when you go to teaching lecturers, it's all about the sexy creatives and amazing agency world and look at this brand mass campaign, and not a lot is taught about B2B marketing, and there's just a lack of specialized B2B topics and courses, and actually there's misconceptions about B2B marketing in general.
Just quickly, all of those things that you just rattled off there, they're all things that could exist in the B2B space that just aren't.
Totally.
Like the sexy creative, the beautiful agencies, and the way in which agency and client relationships are. You're right; they just don't seem to be there in the B2B space.
Or if they are, they're not highlighted or spotlighted or spoken about or used as case studies and examples to our future marketeers.
And so I suppose what you're getting at is that this is a problem, and it's a problem through the lens of not enough people know about the glamorous world of B2B to make an informed decision.
Totally.
At an earlier stage
I think
as to whether or not they go into B2C or B2B.
Misconceptions all around that B2B is less creative or less challenging or whatever, or exciting than B2C. And I think B2B is incredibly exciting. And I mean, I'm biased because I love the B2B world and I'm very passionate about B2B marketing, but it's just an underestimation of strategic importance and complexity that the B2B offers, which is very different to B2C. there are elements where there is a lot of crossover, but it's important to kind of highlight and spotlight the fact that it is also quite a different problem we solve in B2B marketing. And it's just as rewarding, if not more rewarding, because it's not for the mass audience. It's actually not for everybody to see, which is quite cool.
So I'd actually jump in there and say it's kind of a chicken and the egg situation. So as you were talking, you said that B2B is underrepresented or misrepresented in terms of it's not as sexy as B2C. It's not as glamorous. It's not as this. It's not as that. It's not well known to be these things. And in my head, I'm sort of going, well, actually, they're not. They're not sexy. They're not glamorous. It's not seen as that because it isn't. Not enough thought or emphasis or attention is going into making B2B towards, or at least stepping in the same direction or taking a step towards the reputation of B2C. But then whilst I was thinking that, I was thinking, but it's kind of a chicken and the egg sort of scenario in that B2B is incredibly exciting. I'm incredibly excited by the B2B marketing space in terms of the longer sales cycles and the multitude of different touch points that you've got to touch on in order to drive certain prospects.
You just use a different type of brain for B2B.
Use a different type of brain. That's it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get the same panache as B2C.
And that's because the challenges are that there's not a lot of resources. There's intense amount of complexities with the strategic kind of the why of what we're trying to achieve in B2B. And to other people that might not be as exciting and sexy. But there are companies, I can speak from a New Zealand perspective, there are companies that are fighting that and are trying to be bold and brave. And it's awesome to see that. And it's only now that it's they've gotten the balls to do something exciting like this. And we need to talk about it.
So let's talk about it. I think you said something there that I just want to quickly pick up on. There's not enough resources. And I think that what you're saying there is that not enough people know about how exciting B2B, or at least even consider B2B as an option in the first place, which ultimately has a detrimental effect on how many people actually get into B2B.
Exactly.
However, let me ask you this. Unless you've experienced what B2C is like, is it right to think that people that haven't experienced B2C to begin with can then take a jump over to B2B and kind of start to bring that B2C side of things? Or is the problem that just not enough people are in B2B to begin with from leaving a university perspective?
I think it's more the latter, and let me extend on that. It's in the university level, when marketeers are being taught the fundamentals of theory, the 4 Ps of marketing, all of that, every single example, case study, and I'm taking an ANZ approach, not international approach. I'm sure international, I know the University of Korea has a B2B marketing degree, so that's outside of this conversation. Every single example, case study, and the real world problems that they solve for is predominantly B2C. So I think that it's not that they can't do that. It's just that they don't currently have the exposure or the tools or the means to even think that there is a difference between B2B marketing and B2C marketing. As a fresh graduate 15 years ago, I didn't know the difference. I kind of just stumbled upon my B2B marketing career. Yes, naturally, I came from a B2C world, but did I bring a lot of the B2C elements in my B2B? Not that much, actually. I had to relearn and unlearn quite a lot in my B2B hat. And I'm really happy that I did, because if I brought in the B2C mentality in B2B, shit won't work, because you're not given the same budget as B2C. And that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation.
So, internal buy-in is also very important. So relationships and stakeholder management is key in B2B, probably more so than B2C.
So let's ask this question, right? So how do we fix this? It sounds to me like there are 2 obvious places to start. Number one, we've got to get educational institutions being able to clearly define the 2 and not be biased towards one versus the other. That, to me, kind of fits in that category.
Absolutely. And I'm a huge solution-driven person. So there's a couple of solutions I can think of in my head are for universities, for professional bodies to invite more guest lecturers, guest speakers from a diverse B2B marketing profession so students can hear firsthand what it's like, what are the challenges, what are the differences, what are the pain points. Also, internship programs, again, all of them are, big fours or big like FMCG companies and hugely B2C. So I think that's underrepresented groups there. So I encourage B2B companies to go out there and engage with the universities and say, hey, we'd like to intern XYZ graduates and mentor programships as well. So solution-wise, I would say universities has a huge kind of part to play in this by ensuring that they're not underrepresenting B2B marketing and to actually weave in B2B marketing examples and case studies within their curriculum. And if not, invite other lecturers, other guest speakers come and speak to the clients, students. Secondly, B2B companies themselves need to be more engaged with the professional bodies and the university curriculum to offer mentorship, internship. And also, industry bodies has a, how should I say this diplomatically? No, I can't. Industry bodies has to, I'm just going to say it straight.
Just say it.
Industry publications, right? They always focus on what agency has spent the most money. And of course, it's going to be B2C because media reach for B2C is way bigger. So naturally speaking, you're going to get the biggest budget in B2C. That's just the nature of the world. But they've got a huge responsibility, industry publications, to feature diverse B2B marketeer campaigns that have been successful in the media more than, to at least balance the gap. Because right now there's a huge gap. And therefore, once that's all kind of wrapped up in a nice little bow, hopefully the talent gap for B2B and B2C will shorten from the university or any university.
Yeah, no, interesting. And so who are we solving this for ultimately? We're solving it for the future of marketers.
Yes.
And the resource gap that you spoke of.
Yes.
Getting universities to be able to talk about both a little bit more laterally and being able to showcase case studies, being able to not be afraid of bringing in B2B spokespeople as well as B2C spokespeople to be able to enable students, if it is just universities that we're talking of, and I'm sure there are a lot more if we thought about it a little bit more, but enabling students to see the cross between the two, the difference between the two.
Yep.
I have a question mark as to over whether or not that will solve it, because ultimately we are, as human beings, guided by the shiny things and the glamour of what comes up on our TV or our laptop screens in terms of the messaging that we're seeing. So,
totally.
Is there enough? Are there enough case studies of exciting enough B2B marketing campaigns to entice students over? And my follow-up question on top of that, back to you, is B2B organizations who are looking towards educational institutions to reach out for internships, are they taking that as a bit of a steer in going, well, they're not, the students in marketing just simply aren't interested in what it is that we're doing. But I know that B2B organizations do reach out to educational institutions for internships, but more often than not, in my experience, the interns towards B2B organizations generally tend to end up sitting in the lead generation sales department as opposed to marketing.
Yeah.
And so there is a big problem here.
Totally.
In terms of really just clearly defining what it is that we're trying to achieve in terms of trying to get these more resources of B2B marketers into the hands of B2B organizations.
I think the problem we're trying to solve here is that it's not that B2B marketing, I mean, yes, there are some glamorous things that are in B2C, and that's just the nature of the job. But in B2B marketing, the message is we solve problems for customers, and not everybody's our customer, right? So you want to make sure that we're able to articulate and approach to the students that this is why it's exciting for XYZ person. Every marketer is not built the same way. Like, I'm not built the same way. You're not built the same way. Every student's not built the same way. Some people will naturally gravitate towards B2C. Great, awesome, that's kudos to them. I'm just saying we just need to give them exposure so that they can choose what's best for them. And if they go into B2B marketing and see that it's not for them, that's totally fine. That's their right to go change careers and do whatever they want. But to answer your second point, I think that B2B marketing as a community and as marketeers, they also have a communal problem to solve as well, because they're in their tunnel vision, doing their thing, going through challenges. And I've seen so many passionate B2B marketeers saying, oh my God, yes, I resonate with this problem. I resonate with that problem. But are we voicing it out to other people in the wider community? Are we doing anything about, hey, getting recognition or trying to get organized panels or webinars to highlight the diverse voices that we have? Some of us, yes, but not all of us. So I think we, as our individual B2B marketeers, have a extra tricky job compared to B2C marketing, because we have to climb a bit of a higher mountain, bit of a challenge to actually even be heard in the marketing community. But I will say that there are a lot of conference organizers that have started to actually bring in the product marketing view, the B2B growth marketing view. And there's just so many opportunities you can take within B2B marketing. It's not just generalists. You can be specialists in B2B marketing as well. So the opportunities are endless.
Yeah, it has always felt, I mean, I started my career in B2C marketing, B2C advertising, to be honest.
Yep.
And making my move over to B2B about 12 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never looked back. The glamour, sorry to burst some balloons here, but the glamour that everyone thinks that goes into B2C, I mean, there really isn't. If you're behind the scenes, when you are running a B2C TV out of home, digital out of home, omni-channel campaign
It's
for
stressful.
a B2C brand. Oh, so bloody stressful.
Overwork.
Long hours.
Yep.
You know, depending on how high up the ladder you are in terms of seniority. I mean, I don't think the stress stops.
Nope.
And so, you know, there's and I think that the pressure is even a hell of a lot more, because there's so many more eyeballs on the overall end result, and so much more money that's been piled
100%.
in, which ultimately is the result as to why it comes across as so glamorous, because so much bloody money has been spent.
Yeah.
Having said that unfortunately, inadvertently, has given and still gives B2B marketing the reputation of being the ugly cousin of B2C.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, B2B marketeers aren't perfect either. A lot of us play it very safe. A lot of us play it very kosher. But, you know, we can learn from a lot of the fundamentals from B2C to be like, why can't we go bold and why can't we go brave with our specific campaigns, whether it's ABM marketing, whether it's sales entitlement or sales enablement tools. Why are we restricting ourselves to, we're going to do whatever salespeople say? That is not what I agree with whatsoever. You've got to inject excitement, boldness within the B2B world yourself. And because at the end of the day, you're speaking to humans. Humans will resonate with humor. Humans will resonate with emotion. So at the end of the day, regardless of whether you're in corporate or you're a consumer, there are fundamental psychological theories that will work for both.
So this leads us nicely into the next part, which is around service marketing and tangible marketing.
Yes.
Right? Why do you care and why should others?
I love this question. This is my perspective and my opinion only. When you have a specific tangible product that you're selling, it's a lot easier. You've got the product, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can hear it, you can, do whatever with it. You've got an actual product to show for it. When you have an intangible good to sell, like a service, whether it's a degree or a technology service or a SaaS company, whatever the service is, it brings a unique challenges of intangible offerings. So you use a different type of brain and you need a different type of strategy for product marketing. It's versatility that you can use. You have to be very resilient. The skills are super applicable across all industries. So a little bit of background and personal journey for me. I started my B2B career at the University of Auckland when I was a senior marketing advisor. I did B2C campaigns and B2B campaigns within my role. And I had a team that looked after different portfolio divisions. And very quickly, I got to understand what B2B customers want are very different to what B2C customers want. And therefore, I kind of stumbled upon my B2B career there. And post that, I've worked predominantly 100% on B2B. And I figured out, oh my gosh, I I solve a different problem here. The pain points is incredibly different, and it requires way more time and strategic thinking and critical thinking to get to the end point in B2B marketing.
Well, hang on. Let me just take a step back here, right? So you got your first marketing gig at the University of Auckland.
My first full-time gig after my internship in Tokyo, yes.
Right. And how did you get that gig at University of Auckland?
So
you were a student at University of Auckland, right?
Correct. I did my honours degree, my master's degree, and my double major degree at the University of Auckland, obviously all in marketing because I am a nerd. I was in my final year of postgrad, and I saw that the university's central department was looking for an internship. So I applied for an internship there, made my connections. Again, relationship building is everything. And when my internship had finished, my degree had finished, and therefore someone had reached out to me in the Faculty of Science to be like, hey, we've got a full-time marketing advisor role. And that was my start to my first marketing career.
So you were a student at the University of Auckland studying marketing.
Correct.
Studying marketing. You end up getting a role. So for any really junior people out there or people that are still at university, if you're listening, great place to start is the university at which you currently are at, if you're at one at all.
Absolutely.
Have a look at seeing whether or not, if you're in marketing, that they have any jobs going, because that's a really nice way to start.
100%.
Once you're there, though, so higher education marketing, you're talking about how you got to explore and witness both B2C and B2B marketing whilst in a marketing role at the University of Auckland.
Yeah.
But higher education marketing, I would argue, is a blend of the two. Where do you put it? Where do you put it?
I would put it as that middle ground. Yes, we are marketing to consumers or future students, but we're also marketing to parents. We're also marketing to international parents. We're also marketing to, parents who haven't even thought about their sons or daughters to come to university for the next 5 years. So it's a huge, long decision-making cycle.
Long lead time.
Totally.
Yeah.
So you're not...
Long lead time. You've got longer sales cycle. Yep. You've got multiple people involved in the buying decision process.
Totally.
The cost of sale is higher than the likes of a bottle of Coca-Cola, yes, for example, or a box of Daz in Coles. So, but at the end of the day, you're still selling to consumers. But again, you could make that argument. You could make that argument in traditional B2B marketing to tech companies that you are still selling to individuals. So it's quite an interesting conundrum. But what I really like about what it is here is that you're saying that you were able to witness both B2C and B2B. Are you saying that you were able to witness both B2C and B2B within your marketing roles at the University of Auckland because it was higher education marketing?
No. So when I had moved up to the business school faculty, they had two divisions. One was professional short courses aimed at C-suite levels, aimed at businesses, and one was actually postgraduate masters or whatever degree that we're selling. So I got to experience them both firsthand. The lead time for short courses is a lot shorter, but
yeah, that's interesting, right? So this is a nice example as to where B2B actually is shorter than what is considered B2C marketing for higher education.
It was super complex. I mean, yes, the decision making was a little bit different because the candidate themselves had to influence their boss to send them to a course because they're not paying for it. But then on the other hand, with higher education, it's the parents paying for it or international students paying for it. So it really, University of Auckland, when I worked there, introduced me to the complexities of relationship building, stakeholder management. It introduced me to the different custom ICPs and different kind of revenue. What is the ROI on each of the metrics that we're doing and why? So it was complex, but I loved it. I was there for 8 years, and just the value that it brought me to be like, at the end of the day, I'm selling a degree or education. And that was highly personable to me. And therefore I decided, I did do a short stint in FMCG to be like, I'm going to give it a different industry a go. It definitely wasn't for me. It didn't give me the same oomph, with services marketing. Like services marketing to me is where my heart is and will be.
And So something that you said there, you were selling degrees and qualifications essentially.
Yep.
But to take that a step further and probably put a little bit more of a, forgive me for saying this, but a B2C hat on.
Yep.
You're actually selling future opportunities to individuals.
Future career prospects or change in career.
You're helping them unlock their future
totally
in a certain way. And that does not mean to say that type of wording can't be used in a B2B style campaign. In fact, it's probably quite strong. So I'm hearing a lot of positivity and a lot of adoration for B2B versus B2C. What strikes me about you and everything that we've spoken about so far is your love for B2B, but I don't know why. Why is it that B2B and just to sort of layer on top of that, remembering that you're in a slightly more unique position than the majority of B2B marketers out there because of the higher education training that you have. Not higher education training necessarily within marketing, but the higher education, the being in marketing within the higher education sector, where you do get to look at both, but both in a very different way in which traditional B2C stands over here, traditional B2B stands over there. You've witnessed both, but you've ultimately witnessed both, but both flipped upside down. And so there's part of me which kind of wants to put you in a box over here and go, yeah, but Sobia's just got this incredibly unique experience of B2B, B2C, and she's using that love to crusade out there and fly the flag for B2B marketing. And tell me if you can, for everyone that's listening out there, what is it that lights you up about B2B?
I think I could take this in two avenues. The first one is I love working with people and people in general, humans, their brain, how they think, psychology, consumer behavior. That's something that really lights my fire. And when it comes to people, with B2B, you get the opportunity to be on the ground with the sales team. You get to work cross-functional, whether it's a go-to-market, whether it's a product marketing launch, whether it's a negotiation or a buy-in process internally. You get innovation opportunities across the board. With B2C marketing, it was very linear. It was, we've got a campaign that we want to go out for. It's an awareness campaign, agency, creative, out. It was very this way. B2B is very this way. You go to talk to pricing. You get to speak to commercial. You get to get your hands dirty with data and analytics. And I'm all about data-driven marketing. So I want to understand what problem are we solving for who, why, and what revenue is that going to bring the company. So when you attach metrics, right, you're able to see the impact directly and straight away. And that's what, I just like solving problems.
But and I love those answers. There are a handful of B2C marketers out there that probably aren't listening to this because this is the B2B Marketers podcast, so they're not allowed. But let's say that some of them are. I can imagine a lot of B2C marketers turning around and kind of ripping everything that you just said to shreds.
Probably.
And saying, but we do all that stuff too. The only thing that they probably don't do out of all those things, or they say that, or they, 100% probably can't say that they do, is they don't have a large sales function.
No, they don't. I love working with the sales team. I absolutely love it.
Right? Yeah. And a big problem in B2B is sales and marketing alignment.
Totally. And that's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother topic, which I don't think we have enough time to get into.
Yeah.
But I do want to kind of swing this back round now to you're about to embark on, your next phase of the career at Workday.
Yeah.
All right. You've got a marketing function, you've got a sales function, you've got your pricing function. It's a classic B2B organization.
Yep.
Tell us, what are you excited to bring there, without this sounding like an interview?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to bring some freshness, and I'm excited to bring some localization. Workday is a ginormous company in it's international. It's based in US and Dublin and all the other places. And I'm like, the marketing team is great, but I want to bring the Kiwi element to it, because at the end of the day, for an enterprise software to be successful in New Zealand, you need to be able to reach Kiwi humans, Kiwi minds, Kiwi brains, which sometimes they are very different to like Australian consumers. And so I want to take that localization approach, and I also want to bring some freshness into the marketing strategy for Workday. I mean, we'll see what problem I'll have to solve when I actually get there, but this is my first impressions. And without, obviously building the relationships that I need to empower me to do my job as well.
Yeah. Okay. So we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and there's a reason why I asked that question in sort of a prelude style way. But we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago around brand and reputation. What does brand mean? I'm interested, as a B2B marketer through and through, who's had stints at B2C and realized that B2B is for her. Brand generally tends to be the first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about B2C marketing. It's always a second thought or an afterthought, or not a thought at all when it comes to B2B. Probably because B2B departments are born out of whatever reputation that they can garner from their B2C counterparts.
Totally.
But have you seen that just naturally there, I've gone from using the word brand to reputation?
I love
and so
that.
What it is that I want to understand from you is, what are your thoughts around brand equaling or meaning reputation versus brand meaning a logo?
Well, reputation is literally the core brand value. Like, it is the essence of a brand. So even within B2B marketing, if your brand perception is shit, then people will not buy your product no matter how good it is. And flip side,
perception meaning reputation.
Reputation, correct. But if you have a great reputation and your product's shit, well, then your reputation will eventually become shit. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of in B2B or B2C, brand is incredibly important. Yes, I agree, B2B marketeers don't do B2B brand campaigns as much, but again, that just goes down to how much resources and budget do we have, and every single B2B marketer is always focused on conversion, nurturing, sales leads, blah, blah, blah. But whoever's lucky to have the budget to be able to focus on awareness and more of the brand reputational stuff, then they'll go a really long way. And the other thing I want to say is the logo is just a visual representation. It's not all in all that's the brand. Like, logo is just an emotional appeal. It's one of the representations of a brand, yes, but at the end of the day, it's about trust. It's about credibility. It's about what does this brand make someone feel, do, act, and establishing that expertise and being that indispensable partner that you want to be is where I would sit with when it comes to brand and reputation.
So break it down for me, right? As a B2B marketer through and through, right? We've established that we agree that the word brand equals reputation.
Essentially.
Break down for me what you believe goes into a reputation.
Focusing on establishing expertise and trust at the end of the day. Two main things. You want to have credibility. You want to have trust. You want your customers and your future customers, your partners, your vendors, everyone to be able to trust that you'll do what you say you're going to do as a brand. And that's how your reputation gets positive and continues to increase customer sentiment. You also want to establish that you know what you're talking about. You're not just selling it and you need to be shown as a thoughtful leader and an indispensable partner to your clients. It's not just about the product. It's also about the knowledge that you bring. It's also about the research that you can bring for your customers to make their jobs easier and to make their lives a lot better.
And so what's really interesting is when I asked you that question, your answers were sort of, and forgive me if I'm assuming this, but it sounds to me like your answers were talking about the individuals within the organization is the advice that you're giving to individuals, as opposed to the brand building of the company itself. So to me, and I think you're absolutely right in the sense that the brand of the reputation of a brand is built up by the people that work there.
Absolutely, 100%. It's all about professional branding from an individual perspective. It's not just the sales team. It's also the customer support. Any touch point that you have, the brand comes from within the company. 100%.
Here's a conundrum for you,
Yeah.
though, right? So if we think about B2C versus B2B and we talk about the reputation side of things, and then we think about, okay, well, the reputation equals the brand, but the reputation is built by the individuals within your organization. A lot of touch points of a B2B brand or a B2B function is going to be mainly to do with sales,
CX,
right? Maybe
website,
a bit of leadership.
Yep.
Very few marketers are getting involved in terms of being the megaphone of the organization, for example. But customer service or customer success is also so customer success sales, right? You get that in traditional B2B, and I agree with you that the individuals are essentially the ones that help, that are the foundation, that build the reputation of the brand.
Yep.
In B2C, you don't necessarily get many salespeople, if at all. You do get customer success, you do get customer service, but it's wrong to think. I would say it's wrong to think that customer service being the only thing. So, have we just made a bit of a breakthrough here? In that, is it not B2C brands that ultimately have no choice but to throw money at building campaign messaging because they don't have a sales function in order to build their brand, whereas B2B might not need to, because ultimately it's the people that build the brand itself.
It's also about the reach, because B2C marketing, when it comes to brand building, they have to do brand building because they're reaching a much wider audience. So
there's audience wideness.
Yeah, audience wideness. And the second thing with B2B marketing specifically, yes, we don't do as much brand building, but it's our job to hold the microphone and share success stories from the sales team and CX to go out wider. Testimonials and, your customer success stories. And it's literally our job to ensure whatever positive sentiment that comes through, we share that across the board. And that could be a campaign in itself. We want our speaking engagements. We want to put our sales teams out there speaking at different events. And sponsorship plays a huge part in branding as well. Sponsorship and PR, being in the media for the right reasons. I mean, people can argue you can be in the media for the wrong reasons and you'll still get sales, but that's a whole nother conversation. But it's just being about consistency, having that online and offline presence, whether it's B2C or B2B. B2C, it's a lot more of a consistent online presence because of what you've just mentioned. So B2B, we have offline presence, some online presence, but budget dependent. And because we don't need to reach out to the mass audience, like that's not what we're trying to solve here.
So, okay, last question for you, and it's around the individuals within an organization at a B2B organization versus a B2C organization, right? The importance of professional or personal brands. So I'm in the professional branding space or personal branding space. I call it professional branding because we focus on B2B, right? Not your Instagram influencer side of things, right? So the power or the importance of professional B2B brands versus needing a professional brand in B2C. Tell me about that.
I think it's incredibly important, like essential for building credibility, essential in the relationship building driven field.
Which is required in B2B.
Absolutely. Like 100%.
But not so much in B2C.
I think in B2C, it comes down to what problem are you trying to solve here? Is it a brand perception issue? Then you need personal branding there. Is it a authenticity issue? Then you need personal branding there. But if it's not that, if it's an awareness problem you're trying to solve, probably not. It just depends what problem you're trying to solve here. But in B2B, regardless of what problem you're trying to solve, that is our core fundamental foundation of brand building. So you need professional branding within B2B, whether it's your sales team, whether it's your marketing team, whether it's your engineers going out and speaking about their products in a conference or whatever. Professional networking and recommendation goes a long way. And again, LinkedIn is probably one of the most powerful forums and on industry forums to talk about the wins and the failures or the learnings. And it just creates an increased authentic trust element from potential customers and partners. And also there's another silver lining to all of this, that you have enhanced career opportunities and job security by being well spoken in your professional development.
We've spoken a lot about trust here, and I think this is a really nice place to sort of end our discussion.
Yeah.
Just a couple of things to just round this off with. In terms of trust, you may have heard these stats, but in B2B, the currency that we are trading on is trust.
Totally.
Would you agree with that statement?
Agree 100%.
Right. I would also argue that in B2C, you need to gain trust, but there's less trust required.
Precisely.
Because loyalty doesn't necessarily exist when you're choosing between two laundry detergents off the shelves.
It's whatever's cheaper.
You're going to be looking at whatever's cheapest or which one have I used before and it's not let me down.
Familiarity.
But even still, if this new one is a bit cheaper, right, I'm going to go with that one. And it's how you feel about that brand in particular. But when it comes to B2B, because those sales cycles are so much longer, because that cost of sale is so much higher, and because there are so many more people involved in the decision-making process, right? You might have heard these stats, and I just want to rattle them off to you and see where your brain's at. So 54% of B2B decision makers trust a regular employee over and above company branded messaging.
I hadn't heard of that stat, but it makes sense.
So let me hit you with a new one. 64% of B2B decision makers trust a subject matter expert over and above company branded messaging.
Yes, I agree with that. And I thought it was a lot higher than that, the stat, but totally agree with that one.
Right. So you've got just stopping there for a second. You've got regular employees that gain more trust from potential prospects or existing customers than that of company branded messaging. Right. 64% of the same decision makers are trusting people that are actually sharing subject matter expertise, people that position themselves as that they know what the fuck they're talking about.
Thought leadership.
Right.
Yep.
Thought leadership, subject matter expertise, fine line there in terms of how I define it, but that's a conversation for another day. But subject matter expertise specifically. And then somewhere in the 80 percentile, 80% of B2B decision makers trust a company when their senior management are active on social media.
I hadn't come across that stat either, but
I'll send these all to you.
Yes,
but
please.
How do they make you feel?
I think that proves authority. It proves credibility coming from the strategic leaders of a company. So it does make sense because it kind of gives you that online presence of a subject matter expertise who's higher up making decisions and strategy for the company. So yeah, no, it makes sense.
Just fantastic. Listen, Sobia, it's been great catching up with you. Thanks so much for taking the time. I think that's a wrap, unless you've got anything for me.
No, I don't. It's been fantastic talking to you today about B2B marketing. Thank you so much for all the work that you do to, spotlight our B2B marketing community.
Today's episode of Growth Colony was produced by Liza Maywald and Alexander Hipwell. It was edited by Dave Samito with additional editing by Liza Maywald and music arrangement by Liza and Alexander. Special thanks to Tina Wabe, who couldn't make this show without you. This episode was hosted by Vinnie Romano. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and give us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to know more about Growth Colony, check out our newsletter and subscribe with the link in the pod description. Do you think you'd be a great guest or just interested in a chat? Send through an email at podcast@xgrowth.com.au. That's podcast@xgrowth.com.au. Or fill out the form in the description. That's all for now. We'll catch you next week right here on Growth Colony.